gentlemen, brethren and friends all, let me beg your attention and welcome you to this maiden city. A city so called because in all her history, her walls have never been breached by her foes. It's been 335 years since the siege of the city. A siege not only recorded as the longest in British history, but an event that would dictate the future of our three kingdoms and echo through history as the most significant moment in the establishment of our Parliament in London, the seat of modern democracies. The usurper James, boo, who was rejected by the British people, fled to France. As William, the Prince of Orange, was invited to rule Britain and Ireland as joint monarch with James's daughter Mary. Meanwhile in France, James aided with a French king and raised the Catholic army. They planned to march north, seeking to cross into Scotland, and then south upon London to take the throne by force. James's army marched north, taking all before him, and finally reached the outskirts of Londonderry.
Look out! A company of Redshanks are crossing from the water side. To the gates! Seize the keys and lock them tight. Others may slumber while we are all in fear of losing our lives and liberty. But we apprentices shall be strong in the defence of this city. No surrender!
It was the swift action of the brave apprentices in that day that stopped death and tyranny marching straight through the city. The Redshanks returned to the water side, and although no fight ensued, the intent was clear to all as to what James's designs were for the city. And it's true to say that there was forces against the defenders, both inside and out.
Colonel Murray! Colonel Murray!
Boy. What is it?
A letter, Colonel Murray.
Thank you. Oh, that man! It's as if he's doing everything in his power to give our enemies the upper hand. Oh, he makes me so angry.
Who does that, Colonel Murray?
Why, Lundy, of course. Our worthy governor.
Then why don't you take it out on him instead of me?
What?
There!
How do you know that's Lundy?
Everybody knows it's him. He's been running round in that cloak all day asking everybody if he can borrow a ladder.
Lundy? Lundy!
Oh, Colonel Murray! I thought I heard something called out to me there, but then I just dismissed it as the wind blowing through the trees.
Trees?
Walls, trees, whatever.
Well, it wasn't the sound of anything whistling through anything. In fact, the only thing whistling anywhere may be a shot right through your body.
No need to be so hasty, Colonel Murray.
Hasty? Hasty, he says. Hasty. There could be nothing hastier, Governor Lundy, than your retreats from the battles you have fought in defence of the city. There could be nothing hastier, Governor Lundy, than your readiness to send away reinforcements sent to aid in that same defence. There could be nothing hastier, Governor Lundy, than your letters to the enemy on the subject of our surrender to the puppet King James.
Oh, good heavens! What are you going to do with me?
I know what I should do with you.
Yes.
What should I do with him, my fine and loyal friends?
No. Help, help! Does anyone have a ladder? Oh, I really need it. Would you have a ladder? Oh, no! Oh, Jesus! I'm here! No!
No!
Ah!
Go! Run to your friends! Perhaps your cowardly nature will help you persuade them that it is they that must surrender to us. Go on, Lundy, before I change my mind. The city had chosen to take its stand. The treacherous Governor Lundy had been expelled, and the gates of the city were closed. The joint governorship of the city was then assumed by Captain Henry Baker and Reverend George Walker. Meanwhile, an uneasy stalemate was being played out between the besiegers and the besieged. The gates of the city were reopened, but never untended, as citizens moved freely under the ever-watchful gaze of the Redshanks who were encamped on the water side. Messengers from James's army sent letters continuously seeking, then demanding the surrender of the city, declaring all citizens traitors to their king and his divine right to rule them. The defenders responded with resolute and never change, no surrender. Then, on April 1689, the inevitable occurred.
Excuse me, my sincerest apologies for the interruption, but as I'm sure you know, as my fine and loyal subjects, I have a need for this city, so if you could kindly see your way to opening the gates so that my men can, how would you say, establish themselves within the city, then I would be very grateful. I must say that I'm somewhat surprised that it should come to this, that I should have to appear like a summoned dog at the gates of a city in my realm for my authority to be taken seriously, and my will to prevail, and my men to gain admittance. But as I have found it necessary to come all this way, you would at last have come to your senses. Even though you have forced me to come and appear here myself, I will be merciful and grant you a full pardon, despite your treason. Now, open the gates for your king.
You are no king of ours, James.
I am a fair ruler and will even grant mercy now to those who surrender and kneel before me. I am your king.
I won't bow before you.
I am God's anointed.
Not to me. It's you who is a traitor.
I will have this city and the hide of every traitor in it. Rosen, destroy them.
Their joy was short-lived though. James did return to Dublin, but left strict orders that the city must fall by any means possible. A boom was built across the river, and a Jacobite army surrounded the other three sides of the city. The defenders were hemmed in, and the siege began in earnest. The French General Rosen, who is a man known for his ability for cruelty, sent his troops out to the surrounding hinterland to gather up all the Protestants he could and send them to the city, where they'd be allowed in or have to die at her walls. The city, which had a population of 2,000 at the commencement of the siege, rose to 30,000, as Protestants from all over the country fled to seek protection from her stout walls. This led to supplies dwindling within the desperate city.
Our men are exhausted, but their will is strong. In the defence of this city, they will answer every call. Another attack again at Butcher Gate last night, and it is said that our men fought like lions to keep them out. But if it's not illness, it's disease that's carrying us off. There's no fresh water supply within the city, and men risk their lives to take it in by the bucketful. Where's the help that we were promised? Are we to be without aid, having sacrificed so much?
What's the news in Artillery Street?
The mortar just hit or missed the weapons store, but a head house with 15 soldiers. There is no hope.
All lost?
Aye.
It is these mortars that will be the end of us. They pitch them at us from Strong's orchard like tossing pebbles into a bucket.
But in other news, Kirk is waiting in the Loch Swilly.
Why does he keep away?
He's waiting to see who the winner is, and then he will declare the winner.
He had better act now, or all is lost. Kirk held his position in Loch Swilly all through July, saying neither tide nor the wind was favourable enough for him to have a run at the boom past the cannon which was sighted upon by the Jacobites on the western bank. The defenders entreated with Kirk, but he was deaf to their pleas, and it would seem at last that the city would fall. Then, on the 30th of July, Governor Walker preached to the citizens one last final crumb of comfort, is what seemed to be the most desperate of situations.
We have been surrounded in this city for 105 days, and we ask, when will this end? When will the suffering of the beleaguered population of this city be lifted? We look down from our walls at the massed forces of our enemy, set across the landscape in their order and their regiment, looking upon this city of Londonderry with avarice and malevolence. They've set themselves upon a path to destroy us by one contrivance or another. But we are steadfast and have remained, sure in the knowledge that we shall receive salvation from our trials. We alone have had the faith that we can maintain, even when those who have been sent with a duty to save us have waited and tarried for so long, fearing the cannon of the enemy, whilst we have suffered night and day under their bombardment. even when those who have been charged with the defence of this city by the King and Parliament in England have failed us so readily, caring so little for our plight, one which they will ultimately share with us in time, if ever this city falls to the hands of James and his forces. We are supported in our hour of need. Must we suffer in vain? We have been surrounded in this poor city for 105 days, and we ask, how will this end? Shall we all perish at the hands of our foes as our weakness grows through starvation and disease? Or will the enemy launch an attack of such overwhelming numbers that we cannot repel it? One thing I believe for certain, and that is that we shall defend this city to the last. These days have cost us dearly, and we shall not readily submit because of the price that we, our families, and our fellow citizens have paid thus far. Our cause and duty in the protection of this city is a just and divine one, and so we shall defend it to the last man and the last ounce of strength in him. For if we are not to receive our salvation here, then surely it awaits us in the eternal life to follow, into which so many of our families and fellow citizens have already passed. For those of you who suffer in doubt, for those of you who suffer in fear, for those of you who suffer in despair, do not be downcast. Lift your face to the light of the Lord and know that he is with you, even unto the last. This we shall maintain. Amen.
Ships on the fly! Ships on the fly!
Fire at the enemy!
Someone try!
Attempt to draw them to us!
Browning is running at the boom!
Fire! The Mountjoy has had a run at the boom and has broke it. Oh, but is rebounded and is now stuck in the shallows. Men from James's army rush to attack her as she is lodged in the fast bank. These are the men of our city who have come to save her and are now fighting hand to hand with James's men to save their lives. The Phoenix and the Dartmouth, though, are running hard for the gap in the boom. Our salvation is to hand. Ready, men? Ready, men? Hold! Fire! The Mountjoy, in firing her cannons, has resurfaced herself and her sails. Now hard for the city. Our salvation is to hand. The boom is burst, and the siege is over. After 105 days, the siege of the city had ended. The citizens of Londonderry were granted aid and indeed life itself. They light fires and they ring the cathedral bells. It was the swift action of the brave apprentices in that day that secured safety for not only Londonderry, but for England, Scotland and Ireland. And it is though not the poor starved men of Derry that saved her, but the mighty God of Jacob. So when you walk upon the historic stones of the city, give pause and remember those who have walked before you and cleared a righteous path. Remember them well, remember them with pride, and remember their watch cry, no surrender!